We are at course data analysis and visualization using Microsoft Excel. We are into week 10. This week we are going to cover list functions, Excel automation using macros. So what we did in the last session, we have covered how we can work on the large data sets. We learned about freezing the panes, and after that we learned about some grouping functions as well, how we can have a subtotal by clicking on the group and ungroup option on the large data set. And whenever we are working with a large data set, that time these things are highly required. Only then we can have a good view of our data. Then we learned about how we can protect our file. We learned about protecting our single worksheet and then about encrypting the entire Excel workbook as well. We learned about the sorting at the various level with the custom sorting as well. Then we learned about what if analysis, how we can get the target results. And then we learned how we can add data validation to our entire cell so we can restrict the users to enter the data in that particular sheet. For example, you have a sheet and you have applied some kind of a data validation, and then you are passing that sheet into your organization. So your organization's members or their employees are now aware what kind of data is required in that particular sheet. So what we are going to do in this week, our table of contents for this week are, we are going to work on the list functions. We will understand DSUM function. Then we will learn how we can use DSUM with AND or. We will understand the DAVERAGE function and then DCOUNT function. In the Excel automation using macros, we are going to cover how we can understand macros, how we can create macro with macro recorder, and then editing macros with a VBA, and then creating buttons. So learning objective for this week, by the end of this session, you'll be able to work on list functions. You'll be able to apply list functions to large data sets, create your first macro using recorder, assign macros to items. So our first topic is work on list functions. First function is DSUM function. So this time, how this sum function or DSUM function are differentiate from each other. What is the difference between these two? To learn about that the simple thing is that DSUM function is applied on the some kind of a list. So basically we are passing entire database to DSUM function, and based on some condition, it only do the summation of the given range. So it takes three arguments here. You can see here the first one is the database, the second is the field, and third is the criteria. So in the database, what we have, we are passing the entire range, or you are passing a range of a table to this DSUM function, and then the sum you need to do, the column you are passing here. Here you can give the column number as well. So if you see this example, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we total have 7 columns here in that database. So you can write exactly numerical number as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have the numerics in, like we can do the sum of the sales, we can do sum of the expenses. So if I want to have the sum of sales, in that case what I'll do, I'll pass the field as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In case I want to have a total of expenses, then I'll be passing the 7 in the second argument to DSUM function. Then we have the criteria. So database is of course this complete range with us. And in the criteria, what we are passing in the criteria, we can write separately what you need in that criteria. So I will be keeping the column name or the field name same here only. So I'll write here, I need sum for country. Which country I need sum? I need sum for country Switzerland. And sales, this is what kind of a sum you need. So my criteria is that country Switzerland sales values total result I want in that particular column. So I can apply DSUM function here. The other option is that instead of writing the field number here, I can write the field name as well. But I need to keep it into the quotes here this time. So in case like I want to have the sum for the sales, what I can do, I can provide the database here only. Then I can provide the sales in double quotes. And this is the same as the column headings only. And the criteria will be again the same. So it is a database function. What we do with this function, it adds the numbers in a field that we are talking about the second argument in a column of records in a list or a database that match the condition specified view. And where we are specifying these conditions, we are specifying in the criteria, of course. And points we need to remember, we need to complete the entire database only, how this DSUM function works. Then we need to keep the headers same. Headers is the column heading. So whatever headers we are providing, headings, we need to keep the same. We cannot write like country is written here and I'll give a different column here. Then it is an error only. So let's try DSUM function on our sample database. So this time what I'll do, I'll go back to my folder, and in this case what we are taking here, this time we are taking that orders one, the same database we are taking here. So I'll open that here. I'm opening this my orders table here. So this we already worked this table and when we were making the relationship, and the same data I'm taking here. So what we have in this data, just have a look on the data here. So I have the customer ID, I have the order ID, then I have the product, and then units sold, and then the date. So total how many columns we have? We have total 5 columns here. And if we talk about the number of rows, I can see here the number of rows is somewhere about 701. So total 700 records is there, because the first row is my heading name. We are not considering that. So we have record of 700 rows with us. This is the data set. We are having 5 columns and 700 rows. So now we are applying this DSUM function here. So what I want to have, I will be writing what the criteria first. What I need in the criteria. So I will be writing here product. So product is my one column, and the another column I'll take as what I need to have a total for the unit sold. So this is my second case. This is my field here. And then let me take one more field here. Let me add one more condition. So I want to have the value for customer ID. So customer ID is, in that case, we will see. So product I'll take chocolate chip only. So let me copy that. This is my product here, chocolate chip. And in the customer ID, what we are taking? In the customer ID, let me take 3 only. So this is the sum. I require the sum here. So I'll write here the total. Total what I am taking, total units sold, I'll write here. Units sold. So we are applying this function on the units sold only for calculating the total for the units sold, total units sold. But for product chocolate chip and customer ID 3. This is my condition. This is my criteria. So let me write the function here. I'll write equals to and DSUM. So you can read the description given by Microsoft Excel. This is the adding the numbers in the field of records in the database that match the conditions you specify. So let me give the range first. So database, of course, I'll give the entire database here. So this will be going to, let me take the entire range for this. So it will be going for the 700 rows only. This is my database. And then let me go back to my formula place where we were writing the formulas. So I'm at the top of this. So this is the entire table we have selected. Now in case of field, what you want to give? Which field we were talking about? This is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Let me pass 4 here. We will try with the units sold as well. And now the term fit the criteria. So here for the criteria, I will pass this. This is my criteria is written here. I'll close the parenthesis here. So you can see here the first one is the database, second is the field, and third is the criteria. Let me put it enter here. So my answer is something 117840. So let me see from the filtration as well. We already learnt about the filtration, how we can do the filtration here. So filtration here is data filter, and then in the filter what I'll do, I'll write here customer ID as 3. I'll click on OK, and the product will click chocolate chip and click OK, and let me calculate the sum for the units sold. So this is same 117840. So this is correct. So we can see that our DSUM function is working in a correct manner. Let me change the customer ID as 5. So I have a different sum here, different for the unit sold. Let me try for the 1. Let me try for the 2. 3 we already tried, and let me add 4. 5 we already tried. So this was I having in the customer ID. I can see it here also. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We tried it that well. And in the product, what we have some other cookies as well. Let me try for the sugar cookies. What we have for the sugar cookies. And let me take here one and let's start for the sugar. So I'm changing here my criteria and accordingly I'm getting the result over here. So this is for my unit sold, whatever units we have sold. So in this way, DSUM function is working. We are passing entire database. We are telling the field as well, and we are telling the criteria as well. So you can have only one criteria as well. So I can have it for the product as well. So let me delete customer ID this time and let me correct this range as well. My range will be now I5 only. So this is my range. So this is my answer here. So I can try it with the one criteria as well, and then I can add it multiple criteria as well. Let me add this customer ID again. So what we need to make sure that customer ID or the field name we are taking, it should be similar of the database only. It should not be having any other name here. So this I have changed the range here. So this is for sugar 3. Now let me try this with a field name as well. So what I want to have, I want to have the total for the unit sold field. So I'll write here the heading for the unit sold, but I need to keep it in the quotes. Quotes you can see here. Quotes are mentioned here, and I click on this. So this is my result this time. So this is same as we have done before. So unit sold. So if I keep it as, I'll delete this and I'll write here. So this will be an error. So what we need to do, we need to keep it to the quotes only, then it will consider as the column name and it should be same as the heading given here. So heading given here, here and here. It should be all three places, it should be same. After that, this criteria also have the wildcard entries as well. So what I can say, normally what it is doing, it is equating this range from here. So what if I want to have any other value? So let me try for all the values that have greater than 3. So in that condition, we have customer ID 4 and 5. So I'm having the result for total units sold for the customer ID 4 and 5 because these are bigger than 3. So let me try as a less than 3. So this is another criteria. So my unit sold has been changed. So you can edit the criteria accordingly. You want to equate the condition, you can equate that. You want to have a greater than value, you can have that as well. If you want to have any less than value, that you can have in that wildcard entry. So in that criteria with the DSUM function, we have all these functionalities, all this flexibility to do with that. Similarly, let me add any other thing here. So let me add date here. I'm adding another condition here. So you can see here the dates as well. So let me mark here greater than, I'll write here 1st January 2020. So whatever dates are greater than this I want to add in that condition. This is my condition. Let me increase the criteria again now. So this is why this will be my K5. Now you can see here my criteria has been increased. So I have the answer accordingly. So similarly, we are doing all kind of summation here, less than 3, or let me change it here 3 as well. So you can see the values as well. This is only for the customer ID. Similarly, I can add multiple conditions as well in that criteria. This is the units sold. So whatever we are writing here, this is, we are adding one more condition here. I suggest that you apply that and you can check it on the values here by manual doing here. This is something 20,000 and 20,831. This is the answer. So let me try here for, this is my condition is, what is my condition? The condition is that it should be having value for sugar. Only sugar we are selecting here. And then another condition is my customer ID should be 3. And then here I have the conditions here. It should be greater than 2020. So let's not take 19's data for a roughing approximately. Then you can calculate here. So you can see it here. And I have some cases here, the 1st January that will be decreased, deleted from here, and then you can see here. So let in the 2020 as well, if I see for January, let me deselect this January. and now I have something here. So you can see here the same result we can see here, 20,831. So you can apply and practice this DSUM function and then cross check with the whatever value you are getting here with this database function. It is very useful when you are working with a large data set. Then you have some specific criteria. Every time you don't need to do this filtration or any other kind of extraction from your table, you can apply this function and have the values according to your conditions. Here you can do the changes here with the values, like next time I can write chocolate chip, I can write any other product as well. I can add order ID as well. I can have a different value for customer ID there, and I can do some changes with the data as well. Similarly, if I open my data with the financial sample, let's try there also. So this is, we are having a much larger data set now. So you can see here this data we already working. If I say here, I have approximately again 700 rows, but multiple columns this time. So you can apply, you can give this entire range to that, and you can edit your criteria over here and have the total value. You want to have the total for maybe units sold, you want to have a total for manufacturing price, sales price, gross sales, similarly other values as well. This is up to you what you want to have with that value. Let's move on to the slide. So we remember that we need to complete the complete data set. We need to keep the header seams for the criteria, and what we can do with the DSUM function, we can add the numbers in a field of records in a list or a database that match the conditions specified by you. And in fact, you can give your range like that as well. So let me try that also. So right now what we have done, we have already tried with this sales. We can keep here as the result as well. Let's do DSUM function with and or. So what do you mean by the and or? You're basically extending the criteria range to add multiple criteria. You can downward for or. So you just see this result right now. We have tried this one. So now if I want to extend my condition, extend the criteria, how I can extend that criteria now? For extending that criteria, you can add multiple criteria. So how you can have it? So this is the example of having or. So either the value for US and Switzerland will be selected here. So if you have something as a right word, so like this one, this is my and condition. So Switzerland and red, USA and red, that should be selected here. So this is the condition here. Extending, how we can extend the criteria? We can extend the criteria by this putting it the values, the criteria in the downward direction or in the rightward direction. So this is according to your condition. So when we are putting downward, we have a condition of or. If we are putting rightward, then you have a condition of and. So let's extend the criteria. We have already the example here. So we tried this as well. We already tried this. This is the case of ending. Here in the and word we are writing, this is the right word. This is we want as an and condition. Everything should be true. Now you want to have for maybe the or condition is chocolate chip. You want to have it here. So customer ID again 3 and date I'll take the same. Let me take it for now and let me increase the range again. So this time what I have in the range, I have other conditions as well. So let me try as the criteria again. I'll delete this to add a new criteria. Let me add this here like this. This is still A6. Now you can see here the cases with this. So now this is with the sugar and chocolate chip. Customer ID should be 33. Date is given here. So this is the first condition and this is the or condition, you can say. So this is the condition of and, this is the condition of or. So we can have the values as well. Similarly, you can add criteria in a different manner. Now, if I put it like here, so what you can do, you can expand in this direction as well. If I expand in this direction, this will be adding a or condition here. If I expand in this condition, this is I am exploring or extending it in the and direction. Let me add it for what we have for another product. Let me see here. This is sugar chocolate chip we already covered. Let me have something with the fortune cookie as well. So let me copy this fortune cookie and let me come back to the data. This is I'm adding fortune cookie And let me see here, let me take here, maybe here I can change 1, 2, 3, and let me remove this date for right now. Now I have changed something here. Let me change my range over again. Criteria I need to update. This is my criteria now. So this is the answer here. So you can see here 1,30,186. This is the answer we are getting here. So let's cross check that as well, what exactly we are getting here. Let me see the values here. So this is for sugar and chocolate chip, and then fortune cookie, and the sugar should be 1. So let's calculate the result for sugar one first. What we have. Let me do it here. So I'll select sugar here. This is sugar. Customer ID is 1. I'll select customer ID as a 1 here. And the results, let's recalculate. This is something 24,115. 24,115. I'll write here 24,115. This is I am having with the what we are having here. We are having it for sugar and customer ID is 1. Let's try for chocolate chip now. In the case of chocolate chip, we have the customer ID 2. I'll be selecting here chocolate chip and customer ID is 2. This is my answer here. And the unit sold we have 63,108. I'll come back to the initial stage 63,108. Let's try it for the fortune cookie and 3. Product is fortune cookie and customer ID is 3. I'll write here OK and click here. Unit sold we have now this time 42,962 something. I'll removing that point values 42,962. So this is my answer here. Let me calculate this something here. This is 1,30,185. Now you can actually understand how this and or is working. Similarly, you can try it for other conditions as well. Let's try the same and or condition with financial sample as well. I'll go back to the financial sample data. So this is my database here. So let me come to the end of the sheet and let's try the function there. So you can see here you have a good database with you. So let's try what you want to have first. We need to do what we need to do. We have just so many values here. You can see here. So what I want to do in the country, I'll write Canada. Country is my Canada. And what I'll do, I want to have a profit details here. So this is my good database with me. I'm coming to the end of the sheet here. So let me give the database here, DSUM, and the database what we are passing here. This is my database here. So let's pass the entire data set to this function. This is my data set. We have the total P columns here. You can see how the selection is going on. Till now we have selected somewhere about 150 rows and total we have a record of 700 rows that we are selecting here. I'll be selecting everything over here, and once my selection is done, then we will come to the field name. Field we already decided that we are going to do with the profit here. Criteria I will be writing in the downwards area. So let me write the field here first. Till now we have come up across some 540, 550, 570 rows, and similarly once this is done with the 700 rows, we will writing the criteria as well. So this is selection is going on as we are working with the large. Now you just need to be sure. Here we have the total here. We will not be coming to that. This is my database here. So this is the data and the field. Let me pass the profit. I'll close here. And right now let me close this. This is an error only because criteria has not been provided here. See, whenever you're working with a large data set, this kind of error you will be getting here. So let's wait for the sheet here. Yeah, so this is an error here because it has not received the complete value. Let's provide a criteria here. So my criteria is country, and then I'm writing here Canada. And let me pass this criteria here. This is my criteria now. So you can see here you have the total sum for the country Canada. Let me add Mexico as well here. So this is, I'm adding one more condition. This is a OR condition. So let me add one more row here so you can see here. So see here you are just changing the criterias and accordingly you are getting the result with you. Now you can add more criterias as well. You can add segment, you can add other status as well, you can have some other fields as well, and accordingly you can do changes on that. And our condition will be same, like if you want to extend the criteria to range it to add to multiple criterias, what you can do, you can have it in the downward direction having a condition of a or. If you want to have it in the right side, then in that case you are putting a and on that. So accordingly how and or logic works, and our function will, our criteria will be extended accordingly. What we need to make sure, we need to make sure that we are selecting the complete database, we are keeping the header same for the criteria, and then we are getting the result in the same direction. And whenever we are passing a column number, so we can consider it from the first column only, and then we can provide the field number as well. We have the both conditions as well. So it's up to you. Nothing is wrong. It's up to you whether you want to pass like country here, or you can give a number like we have the country 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. So this is the criteria here. Let's move forward. What we have next? Next function is DAVERAGE function. DAVERAGE function is also a database function, or we can say a list function. How it works? It works in the same way how our DSUM function works. So what we can do here, database, field and criteria. Same three arguments we are taking here. One is the database, second is the field, and third is the criteria. This function works entirely same, just it has the sum. Instead of sum, it does the average. So average the value in a field of records in a list or database that match conditions that are specified by you. Points to remember, again same, select complete database, keep the header same for the criteria. So let's try this DAVERAGE function, how it works.